Hi, this is Alex Gonzalez from In Your Phase. This is going to be an Age of Sigmar based episode where we're going to be talking about the RTT on Tabletop Simulator that our good host Garrett has TO'd for us. He's an interesting TO, so we talk a little bit about his format, and we talk about some of our games. Jeremy and I are players in that RTT or GT, but it's an 18-player event. We're also going to be talking about the upcoming Lumineth release in further detail, especially since Jeremy's bringing Lumineth Realm Lords to that tabletop simulator event. We're also going to be reviewing a tournament that happened in Poland, specifically the MISTRZOSTWA ЩLOSKA event in Poland, and we are going to dive into the details. So have fun. You sound wonderful. Have you been working out your voice?
Me?
Yeah.
God damn, such a fucking lame joke. Hey, let's move on.
Hi, you guys, and welcome to In Your Phase. In this episode, we got a lot to talk about and just a short amount of time to do it. So we want to help you guys out and talk to you guys a little bit about Age of Sigmar today specifically. So, we of course want to give the people what they want. So we have our phases to talk about. And in our phase today, or in my phase today, we have a bunch of cold ones that I'm looking at right here. You guys can't see it because I have a green screen because my room's still a mess. And I haven't set up a proper green screen, which is on my docket. But I have these guys that I'm building, and I just got a bunch of Pterodon writers that are meant, like Pterodon writers separate from the Pterodons that Jeremy has given to me, or has gifted to me. So I was able to get like actual writers that fit a cold one a lot better. And Jeremy is a friend of the pod.
Sorry.
So I have these cold ones, and then I really don't have anything else just because I've been hosting my twin brother Nick and his fiance, and I've basically been playing host mode, helping him get a couple of things put together. I got him a shaman, an Iron Jaw shaman, a Weird Knob shaman, and then I got him a Mega Boss, which he's begun to paint. We are primarily using dry brushing, some layer paints, primarily trying to teach him from using contrast. So, it's slow and steady, but we're getting there. And, once he gets everything sorted out, he just got approved for an apartment today, which is great. He's gonna be moving to somewhere in Southern California. I'm pretty sure it's LA, but I think it might be like Newport, but not quite sure how the community is over there. But I know our boys who are residents of SoCal Open, whether it's Frank or all the other guys, in the Warp Rider gaming crew and otherwise, I know that he might be able to see them, learn a little bit from, play a little bit of Age of Sigmar, and I'm sure he's gonna have a fucking blast. In the meantime, I also did play one round of the Garrett's RTT, his GT. Well, there were 18 players, sir. I played my RTT, and I had spoken with my first round opponent throughout all of Saturday and Sunday and a little bit of Monday, and I knew that he was going out drinking ahead of time, and he was Eastern time. And I told him, hey, I'm not available till late.
Perfect time to play.
No. So here's the thing. I told him, hey, I'm not available till later Eastern time. So if you have the time, we can definitely get something in on Monday night. If not, I can get up really early and we can play a game that's maybe early mid-morning your time. He said, well, how late is late? And I didn't really give him a time because I just assumed whenever works best for him. If he could just, jump on and say, hey, I'm available, I could scramble and get things going. What I didn't know is that late his time was really late, like absurdly late, like later than I would have even expected. For me, late would have been like me at 7 p.m. East or Pacific, 10 p.m. his time. He hit me up at 11:45 p.m. Pacific time. And was like, hey, I'm on my way home. I've been drinking with the boys. Let's get a game in. Are you free? You want to set the table up? And I went, okay, I'll set the table up. I don't want to get up super early. So we set the game up, and I think I went to bed at like 3 p.m. or 2:30 my time, I called it. And so he was like, thank you so much for letting me go to sleep. I'm like, I wish he would have made it a quicker game. But, you know, I think we can talk a little bit more about that when we talk about Garrett's tournament in terms of matchups. I did play, though, against Daughters of Cain, and it was a real interesting game. And it was a good friend of the podcast. It was our friend Chai, and he is also French, I believe. Is that right? Is that right, Garrett? Or no, Garrett's not there. Jared,
Yeah,
he's French, right?
he is
I
French.
don't know. What do you think? I just know all French people? What is this?
I assumed
He's
you guys
on
were
the
very-
EPC team with you.
I
He's on the
assumed-
EPC team with you.
I assumed French Age of Sigmar players were just like a tight-knit community. Like you guys all had each other's numbers. You guys are all
Wow.
part of the same
Wow.
group chat. You guys all
Wow.
talk to each other.
At least French Americans.
French Americans, at least.
I'm gonna me too you at some point.
Wait, what did he bring it? Did he play at LVO?
Chai? I don't know. Don't think he was there at LVO. Would have met
Who-
him.
No, he was at NWO.
I wish,
He was at
you know,
Nova.
I don't have my Best Coast pairings up. I want to find out the name of the French guy who played the even more Fire Slayer.
Philippe.
Philippe. Okay, because I saw that and I was
I
like,
think it was Philippe.
not only does he have a scarier looking Fire Slayer list to me, but he also has a more French sounding name. I was like, holy shit.
And then there was
Anyway.
Olivier who played Deep Can too. Yep.
Yeah, besides him too.
So you do all know each other.
That's right. We're tight knit community. Yeah.
So that's in my phase. That's not all that much. I don't have a lot of other things to contribute, especially since my hobby has basically been put on hold for the meantime. But, you know, of course, that's just one part of this bigger whole. John, what is in your phase?
Hey, how's it going, Alex? You know, I'm impressed that you got that tabletop simulator game actually knocked out in a couple hours like that. I played against Paul McKelvey a while back, and we started like at 9 or something at night. I think we ended up finishing at almost 3 in the morning. It's the latest I've been up outside of Las Vegas since I can recall. So well, we bullshitted a lot, and I'm slow. Anyways, beyond that, what's been in my phase this week, you know, I did actually get in a game over this long holiday weekend of 40K. My buddy Sean hit me up, and we got on. He actually came over to my house. So it's the first time my garage table has seen any action since last December, which is actually the last time I've played my Skaven. So that was a momentous event. It actually forced me to clean up the table, clean up my terrain, and get everything running. And we played a 4,000-point game of my Johnny Marines, ran as Ultramarines, like I like to do, against Sean's Thousand Sons. Now, Sean has an absolutely gorgeous painted Thousand Sons army, and well, he has 4,000 points of it. In fact, as he put it, that is pretty much his entire 4,000 Thousand Sons army. I'll make the game description real quick because it was quick. We finished that game in just under 3 hours. His opening round of shooting removed more than a third of my army.
Ooh.
Well, between the psychic phase and the shooting phase. Yeah, that was over 1,300 points dead. Boom. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm on my back foot, and I held out for a few more turns. I scored a few points, but in the end, I was tabled badly, and then he owned the table by turn 4. So that was that. Other than that, I would like to mention that tomorrow night, or I should say this coming Wednesday, I'll be doing another one of my live hobby streams. We'll be continuing to build the Primaris lighted Indomitus bike. This will be the 3rd episode coming up this week, depending on what I got done last week, which is tomorrow for me, 4th wall. Depending on what I got done last week is what I'll be working on next week. I suspect there's about 2 more episodes before I have finished lighted bikes in front of us. And other than that, had our well-known, our buddy, everybody knows him from the LVO, David Singer, came over to my house. David's actually been messaging me. He said he was pepper curious after watching some of the pepper videos that people have eaten and some of the hot peppers and stuff. So I said, Dave, come on over. I got a little bag of peppers for you to enjoy. And he said, okay, hey, while I'm over, I'd like to do one of those live pepper things, little pepper challenge. I said, if you're up to it, Dave, let's do it. So he sat down right here. He ate 6 peppers in a row, all the way up to the snow white pepper at 300,000 Scovilles. and it was a glorious night. So I tell you what, I am actually planning on having some more community members over, Age of Sigmar and 40K people that we know. And I'm thinking that it might be fun to do like a little interview / hot pepper challenge kind of a show. Basically start asking questions of people while they eat the hot peppers. Yes, I know, derivative of the hot ones, which is where they do it with hot
that's
sauce.
great. I think that's
But
wonderful.
with mine, it will be with fresh peppers. So look for that as an occasional treat on In Your Phase Media. And that's what's been in my phase this week. So Garrett, what has been in your phase this week?
Before I go on, you got to do, instead of like an interview, you got to do it where as you play the game, you like do a little record thing. It's like, oh, you just lost your hero. Here's her hot pepper. Oh, here's another. You just like do hot pepper gaming.
Genius.
And, like,
Absolute genius. This
Like-
may be the most brilliant ever. Hot peppers and live streaming AOS and 40K.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garrett.
That's killer.
Good thing
Also-
you're on my team.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, one more thing. I got a little, I really wish I had a screen share because I saw a little thing that popped up in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen while John was talking about his peppers, which I also think is a fantastic idea, whether it's the interview format or the game format. I think it's wonderful. But I noticed that I got a little Steam notification that my good friend Jeremy Vessier is on Tabletop Simulator right now. And yet I see him right here. So my question is, you know what? I think that we have to wait till your phase. I think it's better. That
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
wait
you
till your
should
phase.
wait until my face.
In the meantime, I'm sorry, Garrett. I
Well,
just noticed
my phase is going to be real quick. I just wanted to show off my sleepy puppy. That's why no virtual back. He's a big pup. Not my little guy. This is my 5-year. Yeah, he's 5 now. So
Old man.
I know. He's getting old. He's gotten big too. Like I thought he was, a small dog, and now I understand why people think Goldens are big dogs because he's 75 pounds and he got wide though. So if you remember Stormy John, and he was skinny. He's now like filled out and he's muscular and wide,
Doob.
and so he's like now like a dog. No, he's no longer a skinny little pup.
He's a dog, not a dog.
I want a recording of that. He's a dog.
He's a dog. Okay, well, I can just easily clip that for you. It's fine.
Yeah, there you go. So other than that, I have just been doing some more world building for my D&D stuff with my wife. We decided to scrap that world map that we had last week, and we rebuilt the whole. I know. Well, we made a better one, is what it came down to, because we realized that our scale was awful. Our world was tiny, and we're trying to add things to it. We're like, we don't have any room for anything. And so now our scale is massive. We have about 24,000 miles of circumference for the map. And because we put a scaling in there. So we have a little scale thing. And I mean, the Earth itself is about 25,000 miles across. So it's about the size of Earth now. And now we have a lot of room. But we built a world map, and then she actually scaled down and built a map of each continent separately. So we have about 7 maps now that she rebuilt, and they look really good. I won't pop them up this time. But so we've been working on that, and then doing some history stuff and just writing a lot of stuff. And then other than that, I've just been banging my head against the wall learning GraphQL, which is a query language for programming. And that's
you hate yourself. And you hate yourself now. And you hate
oh
yourself.
Yeah, no. I've learned the bare minimum of GraphQL to get what I need working. So I'm proud of myself. It has just taken all week to do that. So, but that's been my week, is learning GraphQL and doing some world building. And I haven't really had to. I saw our buddy James. I returned to him. He got the 40K rulebook that I've been holding on to him because he bought it through our good buddy Dutch, who's just opened the game store up here, and I picked it up for him when I picked up my own stuff. So I was able to drop that off with the mat I was borrowing from him. And I mean, yeah, that's about the extent of touching hobby stuff this week. So that's all it for me. So Jeremy, what's in your phase this week?
So as Alex has politely brought up, I've been playing some TTS this weekend. That's what's been on my face, mostly because of your event, Garrett, but also because we're going to talk about him. Trying to get a feel for Lumineth. I'm using this event more as a practice round, and I was trying to dig up because I wanted to give like one of the things I noticed like a lot of like TTS people do not do is give credit to the guys who actually in the community made these tables and these models. And I was trying to load up the file so I can get the guy's name because I couldn't figure out how to get to back in the workshop in Steam to get like.
I can tell you right now, it's Dino K, right?
Well,
Is
that's
that
the
what-
guy who
okay.
makes the table. There's the guy who makes all the images, and that guy's in,
So
Yeah, but, like-
sorry, go for it.
I was gonna say Dino K does a lot more than just the table. Like I remember I went in today or yesterday, I guess this morning, to set up my table against in my game against Chai. And when I used the Dino K thing, like I think the last time I used Tabletop Simulator for a game was against you, Garrett, where we played that game, and there was like 30% to 40% less things on that table then. So I don't mean to interrupt, Jeremy. He's added a butt ton of shit.
I just wanted to firstly thank him for enabling us to do this in this COVID era because I don't think anybody really appreciates that. That's a lot of work to get this done in TTS, and that's what I was trying to look for. But anyway, I played some Lumineth, and I fucking hate him. It's the conclusion. I'll talk more about him. And I painted some Gloomspite, and I'm as the time I've been kind of my heart's been kind of like waving between Gloomspite or Lumineth, and right now I'll definitely say the Jaws of Mork are at least fun to play. Lumineth is just not that fun. But I'm really looking forward to also introducing Alex's brother to some Age of Sigmar. He's gonna get his little intro game. We also did a stream on Sunday for a special guest for 40K, Harry. He came over to play a game at my house with against my Imperial Fists, it was a great game. You should guys go check it out. I've also been kind of posting ad hoc videos on Twitch as I'm playing TTS games, so people can watch Lumineth games and be equally disappointed in my performance as I am. And for the most part, I've had a great weekend of gaming for Labor Day, except for the fire that's raging outside of my house. But other than that,
wait, hold on. So you and I both live in Portland. The smoke is awful right now, or at least it's better than it was yesterday. You actually have a brush fire in your area?
No. I'm just saying the smoke is we literally our house smelled like inside of a smoker, like a meat smoker, effectively.
Oh, dude, air filters.
Well, we have AC. We have window units for AC. Air is going to get in. So it was just it was a little brutal air quality wise yesterday, and it's never been that bad in Portland before. So it was very and we've had fires before, but but I've never had air quality that bad before. Literally last night, the sky looked like it was on fire. So from our window, at least.
Yeah, it did.
And then, I mean, what's on your face, Alex? How are you surviving this air pollution?
Truly, I mean, I already mentioned at the start, I've definitely done my phase. I got to say,
it's that air quality. If I jump in, because we got fires down here too, and it's been actually clearing up over the last few days. So, as you guys remember, I mentioned last week, my house was within 2 miles of the evacuation zone. I went to come home from work and I put in Waze, and it literally said, "Your house is in an evacuation zone. Please pick a different destination." Yep. Right, all that.
What?
And then the sky cleared up, and it was looking good. And over all the weekend, it was 112 degrees at my house one day, 108 degrees at my house the next day, and then apparently we had several more fires start in the hills right above my house. In particular, somebody had their vehicle off road and it started a fire, and now the air is filled with smoke. But you know what? It's 110 degrees out. I don't care. I am opening that damn window and I'm blowing the fan in to cool the house off, and it's do I want smoke in the house or do I want to sweat and swelter in the house? There's no win. And before you mention something about AC, I have central air that runs 24/7 in my house, but it just doesn't do any good. It just doesn't help this time of year.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're safe because there is something to be said about uncomfortable for heat versus lung damage. But I understand.
Right? I'm
My-
with you.
my-
It's a debate, man.
My inner health coach is like, ah, but I understand. Do what must be done.
You're
We
saying
all
I
care.
should just sit here and sweat is better, is more healthy for me. It probably is, huh? People
Stay
pay to sit and
hydrated.
sweat.
Stay hydrated.
Oh yeah,
You might
I
smell
massive
a little,
fluids. Yeah.
but we're all meat popsicles, so we
It's
all
a nice,
smell.
it's a nice 80 degrees over here.
Yeah, but it's like
That's-
600% humidity, so.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so in fact, yesterday on like Facebook Memories, I had a reminder of Nova. It was in fact a selfie that I think either I or John made, and it was myself, John, and my brother Nick. We were all at like a bar that we had already gone to a couple of times with other people, and I'm pretty sure it was like the last day of Nova. The reminder came up on Facebook for me, so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about the first time I came to Nova, and I was walking down to that fucking Mediterranean place with Garrett and Casey, and I saw the fucking weather predicted 70s to 80s, primarily in the 80s, and like no humidity. So I was like, cool, this is weird. I keep on hearing humidity in the East Coast. I fly on an airplane, I go to Utah, I have a connecting flight, I fly to DC, and then when I get there, it's fucking raining, and it's like 6,075.5% humidity. And I'm just like, I'm in shorts and a tank top, and I hate this. So so the whole time we're walking to dinner, I'm like being the whiniest bitch in the world. I'm just like, I hate
Yeah,
this.
an Uber
Guys,
driver
look at
just
that.
shut
It's
you
a
down.
swamp over there. I'm like pointing to a creek. I'm like, that's a snowy egret. This is a swamp. I get it now. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like,
And for the
saying that
record,
like 40
that would
minutes.
not normally be Alex. That would be me complaining as we walk along. So
Thankfully, I think you came a few days later.
I came later. Yeah, if you remember, I was hopping from one business trip to another through that whole thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But with that being said, there's this event that Garrett had, and it's this
Which
RTT.
I have actually a description for. By the way, just want to put that out there.
I actually want to say, you had your packet officially filled out prior to you entering the start of round one. So hey, kudos, man. Kudos. You had your packet written out before you started pairings. So that's great.
I actually didn't have the missions filled out before I started pairings. I did
Didn't
forget
have the
to do those,
missions.
which
Okay,
is why you
well,
asked for them, and I just made them up. Oh, I was walking my dog right then and
Yeah,
there.
thanks for putting better part of Father's round one. Yeah, so
You know what? I actually preferred that. I preferred that a lot. I was like, oh sweet, this is you're making a gatekeeper mission round one. However, I played my opponent that I had mentioned before, Chai, and he was definitely, he had let's say a few drinks. Let's just keep it at that. He had a few drinks. He's a fantastic human being. He was very fun. And the sass was up to 100, which I wasn't ready for, because to me, I was still the end of my day, and I was sober, or at least more sober. But it was one of those games where it was like, it was a tactic that I like to use in wargaming, where I'm just like, oh man, like your army's just gonna kick the shit out of me. And it's like, oh, okay, oh damn, dude, I squeezed it out, like, good game, man. And so for him, it was just like, oh, better part of valor, okay. Your battle line, I know your skinks are. What else is? I'm like, oh, Saurus. He's like, oh, so your hammer is your battle line. Oh, fuck. Okay, well, this will be a game. And I will give him credit. His worry made sense, because there was at least one moment where my Saurus warriors hit his blood sisters. He brought Daughters of Cain, a bunch of Hag Queens, a bunch of 2 units of 20 blood sisters, a unit of 5 or 10 sisters of slaughter, and Cauldron of Blood, and a blood rack Medusae on its little chariot. And the whole time he was like, this army sucks. I hate this army. This is Fire Slayers with more steps. I'm not having fun. I don't like this army. I don't know why I'm playing it anymore. And like people came in and out and like talk shit for once in a while, but we played, and at one point I like kind of pseudo tri-point a unit of blood sisters with my Saurus Knights that are already holding one of my objectives in my deployment zone, and only 3 Knights are able to get in, but that buffed up 3 Knights individually killed killed 6 Blood Sisters by themselves, you know? And so
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. Oh, you know, and that happened a couple more times. And then my dice just turned off. My dice just could not roll anything for the sake of anything. And then at one point I had accidentally not had my Skink Starseer, which I thought was wholly within 6 inches of Croxagor's. It was like 6.5 inches from the Croxagor's, which prevented me from getting a +1 to hit, which severely depleted how much damage I could do to another unit. I ended up, I eventually called the game. I said, you know what? This isn't worth doing because we already know how the game is going to go, because he was rolling so well and I was rolling so poorly. Even on TTS, it was like I was in the dungeon. It was like I was playing in Jeremy's house. At one point, my Carnosaur my Scar Veteran on a Carnosaur did a total of 16.
See, Jeremy's got the sign right there. See, that's like a kind of like a Zen priest thing. Sensei, it is a poor general who blames dice for his losses.
No. Yeah. So that's all fine and dandy. That's all fine and dandy. But fucking, I have him as my witness. I did 16 damage worth of unsaved wounds to his Blood Sisters. He responded with only 4 failed 5-ups. So I was like, oh,
that sounds about right.
That sucks. I was like, he's like, okay, cool. So you kill only 2 of them instead of 8 of them. So
obviously, you've never played against Daughters of Cain enough to know the rerollable 5-up is a pain in the ass.
It wasn't the reroll. It wasn't the unit near the
Oh,
reroll.
well, there.
It was the unit all the way out. It was the unit that he had like overextended, and he was like, okay, well, I was like, this game's over, and he's like, okay, but this unit is like unbuffed. It doesn't have any support, and if you could just wipe that unit, like you are actually in like a perfect spot. And unfortunately, I made a few risks because he had a unit of 5. He only had 3 battle line, so he had a unit of 10 fucking Sisters of Slaughter. And so I was like, sweet, my camo skinks get as close as possible to that unit, or at least so that everyone can get in range. And I try to kill all the Sisters of Slaughter. One unit kills 5 of them, and then he took them in a way I should have put them in a different position, but he had blocked me out with Shadow Warriors that he had as allies, and so I was unable to have the other unit shoot. And basically, one unit would have been able to shoot. And then given how many casualties were taken, I wouldn't have been able to shoot with the other unit. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. So the second unit of camo skinks that came out, that all died on his turn because I was way too close to him. So it was a learning experience. The second unit of camo skinks just immediately sniped out a Hag Queen. So I was appreciative of that, but it was not comparable in terms of points, so or usefulness. So unfortunately, they were Witch Brewed. Witch Brew, of course, prevents battle shock. So that was a bummer, but that was my game. Jeremy, I'm actually very interested in how your game was.
Well, for our audience, it's recorded, so they can go see it. They're going to go see it on our channels. Honestly, I was going to save it up for like our Lumineth review. So this was my first game with the actual Lumineth list that I wanted to play against Caleb and his Flesh Eater Court, the Morgant with Gold Patrol inside Better Part of Valor. So he's got like something like 80 goals and like a Terrorgeist and a bunch of characters and 2 Courtiers and a Chalice. So effectively like lots of like sticky bodies on objectives, especially battle line ones. None of his reinforcements are battle line, but like, you know, it's still pretty sticky, eating through 40 goals when you have like you're under threat at all times for his reserves in the back. Couple takeaways from that game. Like I played that game like as I'm treating this event like a practice event. Like I don't really. So I won the initiative on turn 2 and decided to give it to him, even though it was going to put me in like a really bad spot, and I had a position to take advantage of the initiative. But I was like, I need to know how this army feels when it just like loses every situational roll, and oh my god, it does not feel good.
I don't know why you brought that list. I hate that list so much.
Well, I don't like every other list is like with Teclis, and I hate Teclis, and every other list is with
okay. You hate
Teclis,
and honestly, seeing the new model is not great, but like
that's also $170. So I'm not going to buy a $170 model that's like mediocre and is like totally linchpin and has not fun for most people to play against. So at least like on a middle to low table, it's just like okay. So let me just, you know what, I'm going to do my little like Lumineth spiel. I played 3 games of Lumineth this weekend. That's 3 days, only 1 for the event. I'm going to play my second one tonight, or my 4th game tonight with the same list. They have no punching power. Like, there's just nothing in Lumineth that punches, except for basically 3 models, which is the Battle Cow, the special battle cow, and Eltharion, the guy you can see on my virtual background there. That's the only 3 models that hit anything. Problem with those models is they don't score points. Like they're just single model. So it's hard to get them on objectives and like be like, all right, cool, I'm going to win. Veneries are terribly slow. We already knew that. It was never going to be a problem. They just die so quickly. I mean, the first game I played was against the Terra guys who did like 24 mortal wounds to me on turn 1.
I watched that. I watched that happen in TTS.
So I was just cool. Like there goes the Battle Cow. There goes the Cathalar. There goes like 10 out of my 15 Stone Guards. Like it was just like it basically like any 6s to hit mechanic that does mortal wound or extra damage or extra hits. Like the whole Lumineth defense strategy is basically like make you -1 to hit like a bunch of times, and then like aha, you're less effective, and then you're like every army that's like competitive is like, but I care only about unmodified 6s. So it's just like, cool, I do like this defense mechanism doesn't work against these lists. And then they're just the Veneri restrictions or the Shining Company restrictions are too harsh. Like A, not running, B, not able to charge, C, only piling in 1 inch. And then as soon as you basically lose out of formation, you lose the rule forever. You can never get it back. It's just, I don't know. It's just they're overly penalized for what they bring to the table. They're basically 120-point wizards. That's really what they are. There they are, and that's the only reason why they take them. They hit like wet noodles. Like they just don't hit very hard. Like if you're facing against an elite army and you get a bunch of 6s, cool. But like anything that's just like more horde heavy, like even when they get charged, they're still like very lackluster. The archers, they're situationally useful. That's what I figured out in my first game. Like they pluck a bunch of wounds off like some characters, but if you face any reserve army, they're basically like just going to die, or they're just going to get tied up in combat of things that like they can't shoot out of. Obviously, magic domination was very strong for my army. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that like your magic domination doesn't do much if you can't stay on the table with your stuff. And granted, like you have all the powers that enable you to stop things from moving, stop attacking. They're still really like conditional on like your opponent, does he have bravery 10 or not? Like even with the -3 bravery, like bravery 10, you have a 7 to succeed. Granted, like every time it's worked out in my first game on TTS, it was phenomenal. Like crippling vertigo, preventing a Terra guy from piling in because he failed the leadership bravery 7 value was phenomenal. Great, like it's such a feels bad mechanic, but it's how they work. But like it didn't matter. Like the Venari were just dying left and right to everything in the list. Like I think the Stone Guard died to basic rerollable saves, died to like 30 goals. Like nothing in that army is like very tanky, except when it comes to like the characters. Like so the battle.
You're just saying that I'm a bad player for losing to you with Lumineth so often.
Yeah, this is my takeaway. Is that one? Jeremy's a little bitter right now, so So I'm gonna peel the top layer of salt off of his review to get down to where the flavorful crust of what he's trying to say is, ignoring that salt a little bit that's on top. And I hear what you're saying. And then my second takeaway was just what Alex was saying, because when you first came out, you were stomping all over Alex in the dungeon with this thing. So my takeaway is that if I'm playing Alex, I definitely want some Lumineth in my background. But if it's not against Alex, then I don't know. It sounds like they kind of suck. Is that what you're telling me?
Let's rewind time a little bit. Like, because really what Alex hated was the Cathalar War Scroll ability. The whole cannot attack if you fail a leadership bravery test. And for him, he's failed that quite a few times. And in very like important situation. When that works, it's phenomenal. And also, Alex didn't have a very good list at sniping out the Cathalar. But like, it's not exactly a hard hero to kill.
I realize that now, because I realized I was like, after killing the Hag Queen with like the skinks, I overkilled the Hag Queen with my chameleon skinks. I was like, oh, so if I was fighting against Lumineth, I would just do this.
You've been playing Death armies. The only shooting unit in all of Death is crawlers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. So that's what
how I feel about crawlers.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why you were like, oh my god, this unit's OP, because the moment you played an army with shooting as an order is full of shooting, you're like, oh, killing heroes is easy.
Oh,
Yeah,
we have
it's-
options now.
Yeah, I mean, like, not to sound like too salty, like I just like I've tried now 3 different lists, and every iteration of the Lumineth lift turns into less Venari and more battle cows.
It's almost like they purposely, and this leads into our next segment here. It's almost like they purposely chose the most expensive unit in their kit, in their release, to be that must-have linchpin unit that you need in order to make them really work, right?
Not this again.
No, I don't think that's true at all. So like, I'll just be honest with you. Lumineth is never going to be a top tier table in the current iteration. It is top tier army in the current iteration.
What does John have in his hand?
I just get my book ready.
Oh.
I don't think it's a linchpin thing. Like, the reason you take battle cows for Lumineth is because it's the only unit in your army that can punch things off objectives. Like, the second game I played was against Herf guard blocks, and that was the only thing that could do any damage to Herf guards. Third game I played was against like a bunch of like Slanesh like marauders, and I kid you not, Venari wardens were like having a really hard time killing like 6-up shrug, reroll save, 5-up armor save like models. If it wasn't the battle cloud, they would have done nothing. So like at the end of the day, it's just like it's the book is the way I would criticize it is if you want to play Lumineth, try to not do what I think Ben Johnson's doing, which is buying like 80 archers, because 80 archers is just like a feels bad army that you're going to dominate like middle to low tables, and that's what you want to be. Cool. It's like the same guys who brought like nothing but crawlers, right? They're like, I get to shoot you off the table and never win a game.
And then the moment they hit a close combat deny deployment army, like a Night Hunt army, or even a Beasts of Chaos army,
Right.
and all of a sudden you're like, sweet, you're losing to like a fucking D tier army because like Ungors, haha, like no, fuck that, dude.
Yeah,
Like, that's
80 or just 120 grots. Like, cool, you have 80 archers. I have 120 grots plus the rest of my army.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm getting this kind of like just like the Idnith, you know, like Idnith are under the right conditions and in the right situations incredibly strong.
Yep.
But if you can deal with them, then they are actually fall apart and are easy to deal with. And the second half that reminds me of Idnith, and this is just from this is the layer below your salt, as it were, Jeremy, is that Idnith is not real fun to play. I mean, it's less fun than it is good. Like, it's a better quality army than the funness of playing it. Like, you could play a lower tier army and have a lot more fun, and then there's better armies that are also a lot more fun. But right here with Idnith, and it sounds like Lumineth, it's, you know, okay, low fun to play, and you're making it sound like it's not real fun to play against. And I think we see that anytime you have you can't do shit mechanics, that's an unfun army to play against.
Well, the Lumineth also has this thing where their shtick is mortal wounds. And so against the wrong opponent, their army will just mortal wound you off the board, make it so your one unit that matters won't do anything. And so a player who's like just coming at this from an average table thing, it's like, well, that was bullshit. Like, I didn't get to play and you just shot me off the board without trying, which is not fun to play. Like that's their two mechanics, is stopping people from doing anything and mortal wounding them off the board. That's all they do. Not well, but that's all they do.
I wanted them to be, I don't think I wanted them to be as like durable as a Herf guard. But I wanted them to be around like Mortec guard, like, you know, pre-Petrifex, or like not Petrifex Mortec guard. I wanted the Venari Wardens to be like around that durability, but they try to make them be that, but in a very, like I said, stupid way, which is like they were like trying to make you stack all these negative modifiers to it, and like all of a sudden that's good. But like we live in a meta where like so many competitive armies, so like if I roll that 6, it's like my entire game plan depends on me rolling a bunch of 6s.
It's almost like this army requires you to have an extended release that's more than just the things that are coming out next week. Like, there's clearly more shit that needs to happen.
Look, there's more that's coming out, but I don't think there's another book. That's what I keep coming to. Everything in this book is not available yet. But But like Ideneth, are
Well-
we going to get a second book or a campaign?
No. You know what?
Campaign,
You know what?
yes.
You know what I would love? I would love for them to just combine the book because, I think it was Haywo who had described in his new player introduction of every faction in the game. He talked about Deepkin. He's like, Deepkin are fish elves at blah, 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 blah. Created by their creator went out for cigarettes and never came back. And that's exactly what happened with Deepkin. They were completely abandoned by Teclis, and they have this like weird resentment factor. I remember right before Catacross came out, right before OBR, and that whole final campaign where there was Deepkin and Cities of Sigmar versus Nighthaunt to release the Storm Vault that had Catacross's spirit in it. It was like they came up to Teclis and they were like, "We need your help. We need to stop this." And or people were like talking to the Deepkin to do that. They were like, "Talk to Teclis," and they were like, "We'd rather fucking die than talk to Teclis. Like, fuck him." So then what happened. So
I will say though, like if anybody figures out how to make a competitive Lumineth list with the current range set, and it's not like 80 archers, kudos to you, because I can't, like, every time I play this list, I'm just like more and more like disillusioned with like its actual ability to be good in most matchup, or at least have a fair play against most matchups, and that's the biggest problem I have with the army.
But one of the other.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
Oh no, it was totally. Go on.
I just want to say
80 archers is like $700, by the way. So that seems pretty reasonable.
That's where I was going to go.
One of the problems with, so John will know all about this, of building an army around a single unit. That the problem is that if that's your strategy for building a good list, is that all it takes is 1 points increase and your list is dead. Plague monks, like, and people were running 200. People were running 220 plague monks, and then they went up 1 point a model. That's all it took to be like, boom. Like, if you build, like, GW has routinely shown that if a particular unit, I don't know what they did with Blight Kings. Sorry, Blight Kings was the opposite of this example. Is spammed to ad nauseum, they're just going to bump it a tiny bit, which will then neuter it completely. Like, don't build an army around a single unit. You will hate yourself the next GHB. That's what's going to happen. So don't do that.
And like what John was alluding to too, I'm actually shocked that the price point is the way that it is, because we've talked about, even prior to this recording, we were talking about my brother getting into Iron Jaws and start collecting set, how it's a sweet ass deal to get into. There is no start collecting set for Lumineth, but if you buy their pre-order, there's no discount to it. The pre-order package, $360 for a unit of Sentinels, a unit of Wardens, the Light of Ethereon, a Calathar, and Teclis, $360. All of those individual boxes combined equals $360. But then, you look at Light of Ethereon, he actually seems pretty good at $40. The Syncari Calathar, $30, pretty average. $60 for Sentinels and $60 for Wardens. 10 model units, a little on the pricey side.
Daughters of Cain already are that expensive.
Okay, but like most other units aren't, though.
But
45 to 65 is that sort of basic battle line across the lines.
I agree with John on that. That's for sure what the regular average is. But just to me thinking about it, me seeing the minis, I'm like, it just seems like a lot there.
Wasn't the box too, like the initial box release was like what, $130 or something? And
now it's looking a lot better. It's looking
10
a lot
Wardens, five horses, and Light of Altharion. So it was just like, I think it was like a fairly almost discounted deal, because you take into consideration the other parts into it.
Slightly.
But
right now, by the way, the bits out of the box set, which is right up there on the shelf if you happen to be watching, are going for about $8 less than the actual units off GW, which is about $3 less than the eBay discount price of the new units off of eBay. So out of the box set is a couple dollars cheaper, but not a huge savings to be found.
Here at In Your Phase, we like to give you guys financial advice. So.
We want you to stretch your bang for your buck, and in this case, bang for your quartz.
And if you live in Portland, Oregon, frankly, the Guardian Games still has like over half a dozen of these boxes. So like, get those boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you buy it as the box at the store with the discount at the store, if you get one, now you have a value. It's when they've separated them out on eBay that you're no longer getting those values. And and again, like when we talk these things, I know Alex is making a joke, but let's face it, this is a spendy hobby. And if you're into this hobby, there are lots and lots of things to spend your money on. Most of us have to choose which of those things we're going to spend a lot of money on. You know, I can't buy all the Space Marine releases and all the Age of Sigmar releases and all the, so I have to pick. And right now it's like I'm looking at these Lumineth Realm Lords and I want to buy some, you know. I mean, I like the Teclis model. I know, Alex, I heard you didn't like it so much. I think it's really cool. I think it's a nice feel to it. I don't know. I think it also needs some conversion. But hey, that's a whole other thing. But I hear Jeremy going, and Jeremy says, hey, that's a $170 model. And I say to myself, well, am I going to buy one or not? Well, Jeremy says, only if you want a feel bad army. Well, am I going to feel bad when I run it? Maybe not. So do I want one? So how do I know with all these releases? What do I want?
I will say, if I was gonna make a basket list of what to buy if you want to start a Lumineth army, a Cathalar, a Stone Mage, two Venari Warden units, and a Battle Cow, and then you can decide if what.
Light of Ethereum?
No, you know, he's not honestly, he's not required. Like I didn't really talk about this in the review, but like bravery is a huge problem for that army. It's like incredibly low bravery.
Is it like Idneth where it's around 6 or 7?
Yes.
Yeah, it's around 6 and 7. And like again, which is funny because against the Flesh Eater Court, he was just like shooting me off with like shrieks, and he was just like, "Oh my god, this army is like just dies to more like bravery mechanics." So yeah, it's the Light of Ethereum is the only model that can give you bravery. It gives you bravery 10 during the battle shock phase, but honestly, like that's not enough. It needs to be bravery 10 during the entire turn or during until your next hero phase, because like at the end of the day, like any bravery mechanic, if you play another deep Lumineth player, it's gonna be like the most sad face game of like, all right, I'm locking in this unit. Take a bravery check if you want to move. Cool, you roll. You need to pass on a 2. So like, it's gonna be the most like. It's gonna be the
with
most.
Both of you both doing that to each other, so both armies just kind of sit there doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, go for it, Alex.
Real quick, I wanna touch on what you just mentioned here. I would definitely recommend a few of those things. I don't know if I would recommend the Battle Cattle, but from what I remember, you know, honestly, I know Jeremy's going to disagree with this. Hold on. I know Jeremy's going to disagree with this, but I really think Teclis is like a linchpin unit. And I think that really, in the long run, the only workable Lumineth list is going to be one that has Teclis. And I don't mean that to be a shithead. I don't mean that from my own prior experience. I just remember that we keep on forgetting that Demon Fire Rifts exist and that they're going to continue to exist, and that they weren't changed enough in the General's Handbook they were not waived off with a 20-point increase or a 30-point increase. So they're still going to exist, and they will almost single-handedly table a fucking Lumineth army by themselves. You know, so you kind of need Teclis in that list. And with that, you know, I'm looking, and we can agree to disagree. I'm just saying that auto unbind is kind of an auto unbind.
So if I'm not Jeremy, but I am interested in Lumineth, all the other people that want to do Lumineth are going to buy a Teclis.
Yeah,
right?
And you know what?
A Teclis is a must-have. Okay.
Yeah, and John,
I just want to say, it's like having Alariel and Sylvaneth, Marathian, Daughters of Cain. It's
kind of, but like Alariel has that glorified position on the shelf because she sucks. But like the other ones
Teclis. Because
John's talking about he's talking about the everybody, you know,
Teclis
wins.
Teclis is a support character, and quite frankly, when John first mentioned the fact that he and I have a disagreement on the look of the model, I actually looked at the sprue of the models that are on the Games Workshop website. The good thing is, and this is something that's really indicative of Games Workshop for quite some time, is even though he connects to the mount, even though he's not a mount, he never rides that thing, and quite frankly, it's alluded to be like a whole god on of itself as well. That thing that's with him, so that he doesn't ride that thing, but like his cloak that he's like floating by himself. His cloak like hits the wing. Looking at the actual wing bit on the Games Workshop website, that still is fully textured under where the cloak is underneath. So it takes a very minimal green stuff work to just like fill up like any sort of dots where they're supposed to actually connect. And frankly, use the Teclis model if you want as like Light of Ethereon. I don't know, you could convert him, make it all bright and OSLE, or use him as a Stone Mage, and then buy the original Warhammer Fantasy Teclis model, because it looks about 6,055 and 3/4% cooler, and then use him because he doesn't look like Jasmine from Aladdin, and so use him instead because he doesn't have he's not cosplaying MC Hammer, and then you have the ability to have like a sweet ass Teclis model like on the ground next to this sweet ass like weird creepy Kingdom Death model. So
can I because I don't think it would be doing a disservice to the audience if I didn't correct you on your Teclis statement. Mostly because you keep forgetting that Demon Rifts are undispellable when they're summoned by KO, which Teclis does not protect you from.
So like maybe the 1 or 2 times in a tournament you'll encounter a KO player with Spell in a Bottle with Demon Rift, you're in
right.
Really
but the
place.
thing is, you will encounter that, and Teclis dies to a single KO army every game. He will literally die to KO every game because he is 14 wounds on a 4-up save, and he will never go first against KO because KO is always going to be one.
You didn't give me time to build a straw man argument here, so we need to change subjects as soon as possible because I didn't think of that.
But for the most part, it's. I was going to say I actually really like the model. I think the model is phenomenal, and I just don't want to pay $170 when how much is Nagash? How much is Archeon? Like Archeon is like twice the plastic for like I think like 130 or something, 140. Like
about
what?
Yeah.
Why did they decide that this model is $170? To me, it's just like it's mostly. I mean, obviously, all the models are cash grabs, but that one is just like felt like a real cash, like a more legitimate cash grab because it's
I think they're going to raise the prices of things like Archeon 2 170 now.
Yeah, I think so.
It's an indication of where, because they do that a lot. Like the Bloodthirster used to be like 105 or something, and all the other greater demons were like 140, and now Bloodthirsters are 140.
Okay, but Land Raiders used to be $50, so.
Well, so what? And I paid 25 cents a gallon in my moped. So what?
When was that ago? Like the 1960s?
Yeah, right.
So this is, I think that really this is kind of like an effort for us to talk a little bit about Lumineth, and I really do think that there's definitely some takeaways we have here in terms of what people should be buying, what people shouldn't be buying. We have some disagreements as to whether or not Teclis is a must-have or not. It sounds like, and I think I would actually probably lean towards what John had said over everyone else's opinion, because it's one of those things where it's like, if you like the model and you think he'd be a great centerpiece, buy him. If not, totally avoid him, because you can try to make things work, but maybe not. And then Battle Cat will look cool, so like by all means jump in on that. But we also want to, we also want to talk about a tournament that happened recently. John had actually discovered this tournament that happened overseas back in Poland, and it was a tournament that had, it was, my bad, it was, I believe, 26 people strong, so it would have been a GT in terms of ITC. It happened specifically in the Skalski region of Poland. It was specifically called MISTRZOSTWA ЩLOSKA, and that's the best way I can pronounce it, and I am going to just die on that hill. So if I mispronounce
that sounded amazing.
Thank you. But if it's mispronounced, you could just burn me at the stake. It's fine. We found this tournament, John found this tournament, and we took a little bit of a closer look into it, and I gotta say, it is like surprisingly diverse, and I am shocked by it. It's got a good kind of breakdown of order, destruction, death. It's got a lot more order than anything else, but there's a pretty big number of player bases here. There's the top three, looking at those specifically, we do have Rafal Rabuka with his Seraphon list. We have a Rafal Kolninsky with his Flesh Eater Courts. I'm going to just apologize.
You keep adding letters, by the way.
No, there's the accent, so I'm just trying to work with those. And then I do not know that final accent in the end of Dante, so I'm just going to say Dante. Sorry, Dante. If it's pronounced something differently, I've literally
It's copyrighted.
never encountered.
Yeah, no, it's
registered.
It's registered, not copyright. It's registered.
We got that slaves to darkness list too. So I'm looking at these lists. I'm looking at the stats. I really like not to make anyone ruffle any feathers. I like the interface here. That's just my own personal opinion. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But yeah, there's a lot that I have to say. But before I say it, or before I share anything here. Garrett, Jeremy, John, do you guys have any thoughts on this tournament specifically?
Well, first off, Alex, like you said, there's a lot of variety here. And though we joked about R being trademark, I think that's actually some kind of a signal in Tabletop TO, because there's a bunch of names with an R after it. It might even just be registered or something like that. I personally was pretty amazed. Well, excuse me, I shouldn't say I was amazed. I was unsurprised by who won the top, was on the top. It goes Seraphon, Flesh Eater Court, Slaves to Darkness, Fire Slaves, Oryx, Legion of Sacrament, and then Idenith, right? And, eighth is Ossiarch. So like all armies you would expect to see at the top, but that is 8. We can all the way go to 9, all the way to 10. The top 10 placings are 10 different factions. If that doesn't speak to the health of this game right now, I don't know what else does. I'm sure there's a plenty of competition. This looks like it's a pretty sizable meta if they can get 26 guys together for a game. So I'm super impressed. Garrett, Jeremy, what'd you guys take away from this?
I'll let Garrett go first.
Yeah, I'm seeing, I love the variety here. I mean, you go through all of the lists. I love that Sylvaneth are the third from the bottom and the bottom. So there's a great health there. But poor Sylvaneth. They're just...
They were new players.
Sure. Yeah, let's go with that. This is common from, I don't take this as talking shit, but this is common I've noticed from Eastern European tournaments. There just seems to be a wider variety. The common factors of top lists don't tend to make the top because there just tends to be a wider variety of players out there. People don't tend to just play the top armies all the time, as you don't see the usual suspects at times, which is really nice because we get to see different armies take the top. I like seeing Slaves to Darkness up there because I actually really like the Slaves to Darkness book. I think it's just a well-rounded, just well-crafted book that's just super versatile. It's a Kabbalist list with Kairos, so you can summon another Lord of Change real quick, and then you got the Demon Fire Rift and a bunch of Marauders. So it's a solid list. I like it. That's basically what I noticed right off the bat. Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2 things. I was looking at like the kill points spread, and I was looking at the armies that had high kill points but not performed that high compared to the first place and third. The podium finishes, and they're all mostly for the better part of nothing, like shooting armies. So I'm like, great, another game of a bunch of like proving what I say all the time: shooting armies don't win you games even if you kill a lot of things. So I always like to self-confirm myself. So, and then so I want to talk about the first place list because according to me and my points checking mathematics, that list was illegal. So
oh shit! What?
Yeah, he was using 12 salamanders is not 330 points. It's 440 points. 12 salamanders.
Wait, hold on.
No, you're wrong, Jeremy. Because it's 3 skinks and 1 salamander makes 4 models.
Incorrect. Go look at the fact. It's 110 points for 4 models. 110 points for 4 models.
It's 110 points for 4 models, which is 3 skinks and a salamander. So 12 salamanders is 3 salamanders.
So, okay, no. Okay, this is a whole nother. This is an episode's worth of details that there's an episode's worth of fucking laundry that Jeremy just put on the table. It's clear that Games Workshop meant that it's 110 points for one
4
salamander and 2 or 3 fucking.
It's 3 handlers. Yes, it's 1 salamanders and 3 handlers.
4 models.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. The FAQ changed minimum unit size of 4 for 110 points. So no matter how you cut it, his unit size is 12. So it's 3 increments. Oh, it's 3 increments of 110. So I'm just bad at math, is what you tell me.
Yeah, I was about to say,
There
you're
you
just
go.
bad at math.
Okay,
3
okay,
times 4
okay.
is 12.
I was waiting for the point because it wasn't adding up.
I'm historically bad at math, so I was just like, wait, does he know something we don't know? So I was just like,
damn.
oh.
I was like,
It's
no
okay,
way
Jeremy.
12
Jeremy.
salamanders
No.
is 330 points. Oh, but it's not 12 salamanders. It's a bunch of skinks. That's right.
So Jeremy, I'm going to throw this at you right now. Whenever it's okay to throw facts out there. I throw numbers all the time. The moment Garrett disagrees with you, I recommend a right turn, stop the topic, and go for something else.
Well, so the other thing I was going to mention about his list is, so one of the things I was kind of confused is, did they have like some kind of summoning restriction or something? Because he wrote on his list like all of the summoning things he's going to summon.
This is something that's really common with people that I've encountered before. Back when Seraphon used to have even more summoning, I would see people who just did this, and I'm pretty sure this is like a Lustria online thing, which is a really common online community of like Seraphon and Lizardman players. I think to avoid the feel bads, they will just straight up tell you what they brought. And be like,
so in case, okay, got it.
Yeah, so these are the models I brought. If you're worried about my summoning, expect this.
Okay, and then he also took the Celestin Prime, which is a very interesting choice in his Seraphon. I was very curious.
I'm noticing. I've been seeing it. It dropped 40 points. Is what happened. It went from 340 to 300. So I see that it's attractive. Matt Barker, he's been wanting to add the Celestin Prime to his KO a lot, and I mean, I keep trying to tell him that like I tried using him. It was in a Stormcast list, and so it was still Stormcast, so it was not doing well. But it just, Celestin Prime doesn't punch. Like he wants to punch, but he just doesn't. Like you can't keep 300 points off the table till turn 3, which is when you need him to have 7 attacks.
Yeah.
If you bring him down on turn 2, 5 attacks, he's just like, I guess I'm.
At least the one nice thing is in a Seraphon list, he has so many command points, you can at least give him a bunch of reroll 1s to hit and reroll 1s of 6. But other than that, like, yeah, I'm also like, I'm very confused by his list. It's like, is he using Croak? Like, he feels like he's using Croak to do damage, not actually like summon things. So like for, trading in for constellation points. So I was like, I mean, he killed like what, almost 10,000 points. So it means he almost tabled every one of his opponents. So he must have been doing something right. But it's like, I don't know, like I still look at this list and I'm just like, well, they obviously didn't fix the major problems in Seraphon, which was Lord Croak. The fact that he's 20 points more than in Celestin Prime and like 5 times more effective than Celestin Prime probably speaks mileage about either how bad Celestin Primes are or how undercosted Lord Croak.
And let's talk about what his actual kill points are. If I'm reading this right, he either played a total of opponents who were short by enough points. No, because you automatically get those kill points. So that means that basically through the entire tournament, the only thing he didn't kill was one character or one small battle line unit from one opponent, and tabled everything else he encountered.
Yep.
But let that absorb for a minute. He played 5 rounds and killed all but one model he faced. I'm going to suggest that maybe this is a person who actually knows how to play quite well too.
Oh, most likely. I was just like, the one thing also, like, when I said that the math was wrong, I was like, it can't be right. Like, 12 salamanders for 330 points. I'm just like, that's so fucking good. And then it became, obviously I was wrong, but I was like, maybe they're playing pre-fac or something. Which would make it even worse, because if it was pre-fac, then the Fangs of Sotek are just the most ridiculous unit. Sub-Allegiance pre-fac. But when you look at the breakdown in the app, the only person he did not table was his last round opponent, which was Bartosz Orlov, And let's see if Bartosz Olaf actually had a full 2,000 point list. I'm going to guess he did not. And I'm just going to check real quick. I think I looked at his list earlier. It was a Fire Slayer list. I think he was, no, he didn't kill one hero. Yeah, you're right, John. Exactly.
He did not kill one hero.
Yeah, that's it. He did not kill one hero. The guy had a 1970 list, and he killed 1880 of it, which means that he did not kill 90 points of it. So it must be. Wait, that doesn't.
None of them, because he doesn't.
No. Because if you're short of 2,000, the opponent automatically gets those kill points.
Got it. So how did that work? Because he only killed 1880.
1880 is 120 point character that survived. It's one of those two.
Got it.
The Rune Master or the Rune Smiter.
Yep, exactly.
It must be the Rune Smiter because it's the only one that's not part of the battalion.
Remember, he's got 2 Rune Smiters and 1 Rune Master, so it was one of 3 characters.
Yeah. So, hey, congrats to him. Fangs of Sotek are incredibly deadly, and I can see that they had only 1 Deep Kin player, which I'm guessing he did not play against, which is usually the Fangs
That's
of Sotek.
That's fine. Who cares about Deep Kin? Teclis didn't.
Okay.
I like how the Fire Slayer player noted that he had a minimum of 6 drops and a max of 9 drops.
Yeah.
So like this is, I'm just going to say it, like we're seeing these little evidences on the list of what I would call above table play. A little more courtesy for your opponent, right? Just those nice little things you can do to give your opponent a better experience at the table.
It's almost like these Europeans, they're just nicer people.
Well, we all know that's bullshit. I don't know. It's really so if I understand this correctly, based on what I'm looking, is the guy who hosted the event got 3rd place at his event? Is that what I'm reading correctly?
That's
Or who at least
host?
set it up.
Yeah,
the guy who at
hosted
least
by,
set it up.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know if he was actually the judge or the TO, or any of those kinds of things. And we just don't know how it works. I mean, I've certainly played in events that I've ran to go 5 rounds, though I'm usually like the first round and then drop with a bye. But to play all 5 rounds, and he only lost 1 game. Man, impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive.
His Slaves of Darkness list is very interesting too, because it's once again another thing where he lists all of his summoning options, which I think maybe must be a packet requirement. If you have a summoning army, you have to list the models you brought with you.
It was common back in AOS first edition.
Yeah, and
it was very common back then.
I mean,
is
he
it
brought
one
like
of those things that maybe is in the rules, but we're not noticing it? And also, I wonder, and this is just kind of a weird little thought. I mean, are these gentlemen playing with a Polish version of the rules? And are there subtle differences when you're playing the rules in a different language? I mean, we're arguing in English over the meaning of the word "the" in a rule, right? So what happens when you translate to especially a shall we say, non-Germanic language, a language with a different root, right, than English, which Polish is going to have. So a Slavic root over there, you might have some radical differences. Anyways, random thoughts that I had on this. I've never considered that before, but
neither did I. But I gotta say, I think that this is a really good spread. Again, I love the above tabletop play. The lists aren't too crazy or too wild from what we would normally expect out of something, in the United States or otherwise. It's really clear that there's definitely a select kind of style of list, style of meta. This whole idea of going, with especially, this is something that's really common in 40K. They like making fun of European meta and even British meta, because we can't say that they're the same. The glorious European meta. In Age of Sigmar, it's not that much. It's kind of like everyone kind of has the same meta, except for like small, weird nuances that are in regional, like, nothing that's like shooting somehow doesn't exist in a certain meta. So, certain armies that don't have shooting can excel, or otherwise, the exact opposite. But, congratulations on the winners. I think that this is really great, and I like the spread. It's making me want to play Fangs of Sotek, which also kind of crushes my soul, because I don't want to run that. I want to run Coalesced. But with that being said, do we have anything to promote, you guys?
Just the mention of my Wednesday hobby stream. We'll be continuing that Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. Going to continue doing that for about an hour. Once I finish the lighted Primaris bike, we'll see if I continue on with that, but I think it works out well. I might just make that a regular thing.
Gotta say, that thing is looking sexy. Like, that is, the amount of work that you put in on it is just like shocking to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I obviously Sunday stream. This week will be an AOS game. I'm guessing it's going to be an Alex, but we'll see if we can find a guest player, another guest player. And then I will probably be streaming Garrett's tournament during the whenever the round starts. So I can't make a promise when they're gonna start. And finally, I think I'm gonna try to stream also Alex's game. So look for that in this week for basically a bunch more content, more game, but obviously all TTS. Yeah, I think that's all we have to promote. Other than go check out our Patreon. Gonna shell out here. Go check us out on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. There we go. That's the last one. I got there. I'm gonna be the sellout for today. I'll let Alex take a break from it.
I was last week, so I get it.
You're right below. Look below. You see all the links.
Yeah, that's right.
No love for Google Plus.
Is that even alive?
Fuck off. No. I'm so close to muting you. No. I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, they closed it.
Yeah,
They closed it.
So we do have that. I really think that it is going to be end up being us in the live stream. If you do, Jeremy, end up live streaming my game, I'm going to be playing someone who plays Blight Kings. They have 50 Blight Kings. It's going to be Star Strike, so it's going to be a hilarious fucking game. It's going to be an uphill battle with me against Rothouse Spume and other Rot King named characters, which I didn't realize were characters that you play against in Vermintide until I read the list, and I was like, I recognize these names.
Yep.
So, that reminds me, we got to do another Vermintide game session soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is going to be really fun. John, do you have anything?
I just want already promoted.
Of course. Yeah, we got the hobby time. Okay. No other additional streams at all?
No additional streams coming up. Look for maybe a random thing. I'm trying to, and I'm reaching out to the listeners too. I am trying to get some folks that might want to join me for a little hot pepper challenge, much like you saw David Singer and join in. So hit me up on Facebook, send me a private message, and we can do a live chat like you see our video here over Zoom. If you want to do a hot pepper challenge with me, or I can invite you over to the game room here and we can do a little something live. So if you're into that, hit me up.
I cannot wait to see the structure of a game style hot pepper challenge. I love hot ones. My favorite part of that kind of like series is like great interview questions in addition to like watching people suffer. And I know for a fact that you are really good in terms of questions and interviewing and things like that. So if there was a game element involved, that would be even better, especially if you could like see the person suffer. Like,
I'm excited. I like this idea. This is amazing.
We had just found out moments before recording that SoCal Open has unfortunately been canceled for this year. Not surprising, but unfortunate. It fully expected, but it breaks all of our hearts. It definitely sucks. But last SoCal Open, not only did John make a very concerted effort to approach not just me, but several other people, where not only would he give us these incredibly hot peppers, but he would do an interview with us, knowing full well that we were suffering. And then he would just like start a conversation and continue the conversation. Like if you couldn't respond, well, then he would just move on to the next subject. It was fine. He had this already prepared. So it would just be very fluid. And then you're just like, okay, like I really don't want to talk. Opening my mouth hurts. Everything is pain. Like just push through it. This is temporary. like literally, like,
the world is meaningless.
If you can find the video of me talking to John is like consistently asking me questions, and you can see like you may be able to see the moment where I'm just like, okay, this is temporary. I'm gonna go to sleep. Like my mentality was, I'm going to sleep tonight and I'm not going to have this pain. This is not forever. This is not forever. This is temporary. Just like push through it. Great. Wonderful. And it's when I have like a hard kombucha and I'm like drinking that at the time. The moment I go for that first sip, I'm in hell. So that's fun.
Okay, I'll have to dig that video up and we'll see what it looks like. Because I can say I've certainly eaten peppers, like when we ate the scorpion last year, where I was actually concerned that I might be in trouble, and I had to do like you were describing, a mental zen to convince myself this is not going to hurt me. I am going to survive this. I will be okay. It's pretty amazing.
I'm not going to go into shock, I swear to God. But also, like Jeremy said, if you guys like this episode, do like it, subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Chrome Podcasts. We're not on Google Plus because fuck off Google Plus, it doesn't exist anymore. Whatever. We are on FLG's news roll every other week. If you guys have something you want to say, even if it's just talking shit, tell us. If it's a nice review or it's a talk shit review, we will definitely share it on the podcast. That being said, this is going to be Alex, John, Jeremy, and Garrett signing off for the evening. You guys have a good night.